Hello. Happy Tuesday. I wanted to say happy Wednesday, but today is Tuesday. I usually go live at this time, around this time on Wednesdays, but since we are going into the 4th of July weekend and I will be out of town and traveling and have some time off with my family, I thought I would come on tonight and do my live that was scheduled for tomorrow night. So I know I didn't tell anyone ahead of time or advertise. I usually try to advertise and tell you guys when I'm going live. But tonight, I just decided, you know what, I better go do this or I'm going to have to cancel and it's not going to happen. So anyways, today's topic I'm really excited about. This is something that I have been something that I've wanted to talk more about. But wanted to make sure that I did my research and had all the information that I could possibly gather and put into my own words to help you guys with this. So protein. So today's topic is protein, which I think is such a popular topic, especially for us runners, right? Especially for those that are active. So if you are watching, you are tuning in, I see a few people joining. Today is, or this video is really for anybody that's active, that wants to go plant-based, interested in plant-based eating, or you are plant-based, but not sure if you're getting enough protein, or worried about, getting enough protein, or again, a plant-based runner, right? This is for you. This video is for you, and we're going to be talking all about protein. So the question I hear a lot is, how do I get enough protein? Can I get enough protein on a plant-based diet? And I will argue, yes. You can. You can get enough protein on a plant-based diet. It is certainly possible. It may be hard on a low-carb diet, but you still, you still can kind of figure that out. But it's really, can be difficult, right? If you choose, sources that have carbohydrates in them or soy, right? And we're not going to get too much into the soy thing in this video, but I will be posting a blog and talking about that topic very soon. Hey Ryan, thanks for joining. So today I wanted to talk about protein, all about protein. So first, what is protein? Okay, so protein is one of our main macronutrients, right? It is macronutrient, which you, I'm sure our guys are familiar with, right? Our macros. So our carbs are protein and our fat are our macros, right? So protein is one of our macronutrients. It's one of the 6 main nutrients, one of the 3 macronutrients. So it provides us with energy. Which means that it provides us with calories, right? But what protein really helps, or what is for, is repairing, building and repairing body tissue, right? So for athletes, for people that are active, for runners, this is very protein is something that's important, right? Because especially for recovery purposes, right, you're going to want to make sure you get protein because you're breaking down muscle, right? When you're working out, when you're exercising, when you're running, you're breaking down that muscle tissue, right? And you're going to want to rebuild it, and that's going to help with muscle soreness and recovery. You're going to recover a lot quicker. What I have found, which I believe I posted the article that was a very recent research article that talked about how actually on a plant-based diet helps you recover a lot better. So there's definitely, if there's evidence showing that there's no concerns about recovery and it could actually be better on a plant-based diet, then really what that means, right, is that there should not be a concern about not getting enough protein, right? But also with protein, right, it's a macronutrient. It's a helps rebuild and repair our tissues, right? And it's also a building block. So protein are building blocks made up of amino acids. So Maybe you've heard of these amino acids, but there's, I believe, 20 or more amino acids. There are essential amino acids, and then there are non-essential amino acids. So the essential amino acids, what that means is those are essential because we have to get them in our food. Non-essential amino acids, our body makes, so we don't have to get those amino acids in our food, right? So the biggest concern that I've heard about protein, and especially getting protein from your plant-based sources, is because they don't have all 9 essential amino acids. So there's 9 essential amino acids that we have to get through our diet, right? And a lot of people are so concerned about, well, there's not 9 essential amino acids, right? You can only get those 9 essential amino acids in your animal proteins. But I will argue that just because of that fact does not mean that you cannot get all amino acids in your diet. So you guys can look this up if you want. But back in the 1970s, there was a book written. Her name is escaping me, but I just wrote a blog post. You can also view my blog post. I posted the book that this is referencing, but the term that was coined was complementary protein, right? And what she said in that book was that in order for you to get those essential amino acids, you had to pair that protein with something else, right? Like a grain. So for example, black beans and brown rice. You should eat those at the same time, okay? What she was saying, in order to get all those amino acids, right? You had to eat that at the same time. Well, now it is, well known, research has shown, studies show that now we know that is not the case. You don't have to eat brown rice with black beans at the same time, as long as it's within the same day. And really what's key that I really want to get across, especially with, making sure that you're getting all the nutrients, making sure that you get enough protein in your diet, what is key is just eating different foods, right? Eating vegetables, eating non-starchy, starchy vegetables, eating your fruit, eating your grains, eating plant-based proteins, right? Making sure that you're getting all these different and not just the same fruits and veggies. And I know I am probably the worst with this. I eat a lot of the same foods, a lot, but I know that I need to start eating more of other certain vegetables because I know that they have different nutrients in them that I could be lacking and not getting. But another thing too, and I was just talking to a client about this, is go to your doctor and you can get your blood drawn and you can ask for certain things to be tested. So I had my B12 and my iron and those things that I was concerned about because of my diet, especially as a runner, knowing that I need to make sure that these levels are good. I had them tested in my blood, in my lab work, and everything came back normal, was good. So that's really exciting, right? That's really, really, really good. So even though I may be eating a lot of the same foods, maybe, I must be doing something right? Which is really good news. But I encourage you guys to do that. And if you work with me, that's what I encourage you to do. If you're somebody that's just going plant-based and haven't been doing it for a while, but want to, really, before you really go full plant-based and change your diet, I really encourage you to do it now, because then you can see the difference. You can see your lab work change, which I think is it's nice to have that measurable sort of change to see, right, those variables to see that. For me, I don't really feel like I have anything real measurable. Like I don't have, I never really needed to lose a lot of weight, right? But to me, that's just not really where my goals were. So, that doesn't work, right? Weight for me is not, labs is a good one, but I don't really have much to compare it to before I was plant-based. I don't remember if I ever even got my lab work, or if it was so long ago, I don't even know if I could get those numbers again and see where they were. Because I'm sure I did along the way. But anyways, that's a really good idea. So back to our protein, right? So it's really a myth about complementary protein. You don't have to worry about eating, rice with your beans at the same meal. Just making sure that you do get some grains and plant proteins in your meals throughout the day, right? So really what's key, as I said, is just eating many different foods, right? Making sure that you get your grains, you get your protein, plant protein, you get your fruit, your vegetables, all that stuff. So that's really a myth. So you don't have to worry about that. And another thing I wanted to share with you guys tonight about protein is I wanted to give you some tips that you can take away that you can use to help you to have more protein. So if you are struggling with getting enough protein, so I should have asked this in the beginning of my video, but if you are still on and you're still watching, let me know if this is something that you do struggle with. Let me know if you do struggle getting enough protein. I would love to know. So just comment, let me know if you do struggle with protein, if this is something that you're relating to. But anyway, so here are 4 tips that I want you guys to take away from this video that you can start implementing, that you can use right now, okay? So here we go. So my 5 tips. My first tip is meal prep. Meal prep is huge. I probably promote this a lot. I probably say this a lot. I'm sure I do. But it has literally changed my life. And it's gotten into such a habit that it's weird when I don't do it because I realize how much, it's just such a habit that I really just do it. But it's really important to meal prep because that'll really help you to make sure you're getting enough plant-based proteins. I know for me, getting protein is hard when I don't meal prep because there's just limited options when you're in a hurry, when you're on the go, when you don't have time to cook. Especially my tofu, my tempeh that I make, my chickpeas, I roast. So a lot of those things that I make, I have to prep ahead of time, or a lot of things, plant proteins that I eat, I have to prep ahead of time, right? Because I have to prepare them for them to be ready, and then once they're ready, right, I just keep them in my fridge and I can just warm them up and eat them. But I've had tempeh in my refrigerator now for probably 2 weeks. I've kind of slacked off a little bit, honestly, with meal prepping. And I've had that tempeh in there in my refrigerator for 2 weeks, and I haven't done anything with it because I haven't prepped it. So it's just going to sit there. I'm not going to be able to eat it because I'm not going to just open up a package of tempeh and eat it, right? So I have to prepare it. So meal prep is huge. And also, figuring out, once you can figure out, and this is kind of backtracking a little bit, but once you figure out how many exchanges or how many servings of protein that you need to have in a day, and if you're prepping for the week, right, you can really figure that out on your amounts and figure out how much you really need to prepare, right? So actually that leads to my next thing, which probably should have been first, but figure out how much protein you need, right? So this is really important, to figure out how much you need. I realized I'm very much of a numbers person. So I could throw numbers at you and you'll probably be like, Kayla, what does that mean? My coach is trying to have me share more of practical tips of what I'm sharing now, and is much less of the numbers, but I will tell you what it is. So for runners, but for female runners, protein that you need is 1.2 to 1.4 grams per kilogram. So for a general person, right, that is not active, that's sedentary, they would need 0.8 grams per kilogram. So as you can see, it is a little bit more. It's really not as much more as you probably think it really is. But when you are eating plant-based, it is a little different because your amounts may be a lot bigger if you're someone that's just going plant-based, right? Because the amount of beans that you'd have to eat to get the same amount of protein and the same amount of piece of chicken is going to be a lot more, right? You're going to have to eat a lot more beans. So, this leads into really, I think, one of my other tips here, but spacing them out is really helpful also, because you want to make sure that you're not also just eating protein at dinner time, which I think in general is very common. We just have our protein at dinner, but you want to space it out through the day, right? You want to make sure you get breakfast, lunch, dinner, your snacks, you're getting some protein, and that's also going to help you to get the amount of protein that you need, right? And don't forget, like, there's some vegetables that actually have protein in them. So you may not consider it as a protein, but there are certain foods that may have a little bit of protein in that we can't forget about. One thing is that I always that I actually use a lot is my nut butters, right? So I do count them as fats, but they do have a little bit of protein. So don't forget about that, right? Same thing with quinoa. Quinoa is another one that I'm sure you've heard has protein in it. But even though we consider it a grain and count it as a grain, it could almost be counted also as a protein source because it has so much protein. You know, your nut butters are still going to want to count as a fat because it doesn't quite have enough protein to count as a protein, right, source. But hopefully you guys kind of get what I'm getting, the gist of it. So let's go back to our steps before I keep continuing, okay? So the first one I said was meal prep. Meal prep, meal prep, meal prep. Meal prep, plan out the proteins that you're gonna have, right? Maybe you are, and as I said, I'm gonna get more, I will talk in a later video more about soy, but figure out what sources your protein is coming from, right? Beans, you know, your soy products like tofu, tempeh, those sort of things, right? So meal prep, that's huge. Figure out how much protein you need. As I said, you know, it's probably something that you're not gonna really want to do, and figure out, but of course that's what I'm here for, right? This is what I do. This is what I do when I work with my clients. I figure out all these numbers for you so you don't have to figure out. I figure out how much grams you need, but I don't just tell you, hey, Kayla, you need to be eating 90 grams of protein a day. Well, what does that mean, right? Okay, well, I will figure out, right, how many grams a day do we want to balance out. We can do that, right? Figure out how many, but really what I'm getting at is how many cups, right? We change those grams into cups. Okay, how many cups in each meal do I need to be eating to get to my 90 grams of protein, right? So we figure it out that way. And then, as I said, choose plant proteins, or eat that, well, no, what was the next thing? Sorry, consistency, right? Eating throughout. So I guess this is very similar, right? Choose proteins that are high in protein that at every meal. So I kind of already talked about that, but really just spacing it out too. And then next is finding ways to enjoy them. So as I said, I think I've already mentioned this, but my favorite way of eating chickpeas is roasting. I absolutely love roasting my chickpeas. And if you want my roasted chickpea recipe, comment below. Just say, I want, or just say chickpea recipe, and I will make sure that you get it. But if you haven't, you may have it already. It is in my free ebook that I'm giving away. So it is in that ebook. So if you have not gotten or received my free ebook of all my 11 plant-based recipes, which are all recipes that I use, if you do not have that book yet, then definitely make sure that you let me know, or comment below here and just say ebook, send to me, right? To make sure that I send that book to you, to make sure that you get those awesome recipes. So as I said, that roasted chickpea recipes in there, that is my favorite recipe. But back to my, my original point is finding ways to enjoy how you like to eat them. You can roast things, right? As I said, roast beans. saute, bake. I mean, there's so many different ways. I'm learning. Not too long, I actually don't make tempeh that much. I've actually only done it like once or twice before, which is probably why I haven't done it again, because it's fairly new to me. It's not something that like can quickly do. I'd have to look up a recipe. But my recipe actually last time I used when I cooked tempeh was pretty good. And it actually had me simmer and boil it. So that was a little bit different of preparing something differently. I also prepared my tofu differently. Sorry guys. I prepared my tofu differently this time. So with my tofu, I decided I wanted it more crispier, and I have been draining it now. I didn't always used to do that, but I noticed that it does work a lot better, and it's not as like watery and mushy. So I do press it is what I mean. Actually, I drain it and then I press it. But you should press it for at least 30 minutes. And I've always been really bad at doing it that long. So now I've been getting better at doing that. So I just use, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I use a cutting board. I put a paper towel on. I put my tofu on top. I actually cut it in half. So I have two sides of tofu. I add another layer of paper towel, and then on top I usually put something heavy. So I usually use pots or pans or something just to put pressure on it, so that presses the tofu and all that moisture out, which is really helpful. But this time what I did that was different was I actually pan fried it instead of baked it. And I noticed my tofu was a lot crispier, and I just really liked it a lot more than how I usually do it. So I tried to really crisp each side. It was great. I added it to one of my power bowls. Was awesome. Actually, I have right here. There it is. So there's my tofu. Just have to show you guys so you can see it burnt it a little bit, but I tried to crisp it on each side. Of course, it's not perfect, but I did try to do that, which it did crisp up a lot better when I pan fried it than if I baked it. So that's just another hint or tip to use. But again, just trying different ways that you enjoy them. For me, I do want to try getting more into eating more different types of beans and figuring out different ways to make beans, because beans are great, right? Beans are a great plant-based source. They may cause you some GI distress, but really just figure out what works for you. You know, if they're really causing you some GI distress, I'd certainly would, be willing to hop on the phone with you and figure out why, what's going on. Could you have a digestive enzyme? Should you maybe try different beans? Should you stay away from beans, right? We can kind of figure that out. So, one tip, right? Meal prep. 2, figure out how much protein that you need, which maybe you might not do this, but I certainly could do it for you, right? But you can do it. It's not hard to figure out how many grams of protein. Choose plant protein at every meal. Eat it throughout your day consistently, right? Not just at one time. Find different ways to enjoy your plant proteins, and then that's it, right? Those are all my tips I have for you. So I hope those are really helpful. And I did mention my ebook. So again, if you want that ebook, just comment below, say ebook. I will get you that ebook. Oh my gosh, guys, I just am seeing your comments and didn't even see you guys were on. They never even showed up. So hold on. I had to catch up before I sign off here. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Kevin. I'm looking at my comments now. All right. Kevin and I will talk. I think we need to talk. Yes. So I will answer your questions if you want to hop on the phone with me or message me. Just message me after this video and I hop off, and I will certainly answer your questions and help you out. Sorry, I missed all those. So again, if you want that ebook, if you don't have the ebook yet, comment below ebook. I will send it to you. And you will get those 11 plant-based recipes that you can start using tomorrow. And then the other thing that I have is a meal planning guide. So I talked about eating plant-based proteins throughout your meal, and I talked a lot about emphasizing how important is the meal plan. If you are somebody that struggles with meal planning, and Kevin mentioned that he doesn't meal prep because he's always on the go, so again, that's something we could work together, but this is something that I want to give to you guys that I think will be really helpful, is having a meal planning guide, because it can be, you know, something that's tedious to do, right? I'm not always good at this either, but I, gotten into this flow and this habit, but I still think having a template is really super helpful, and having a guide to get you through it. So if you want also that meal planning guide, I want to give that to you guys. So make sure to comment below this video. If, again, meal planning guide, just comment meal planning guide. If you want me to send this to you, message me, comment below, let me know that you want that, and I will get that to you, because I think that'll be super, super helpful for you guys to start helping you to meal prep. And Kevin, again, as I said, if you want to just message me, I could certainly work with you, and we can figure out how we can, get, if there's pockets of time in your day, right, that you can prepare some food for you, kind of thing. So certainly message me, Kevin. We'll talk. But I hope you guys love this video. I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you got, those tips that you can start implementing right now. Again, thank you for joining, for watching, for tuning in, for supporting me. I appreciate it so, so very much. Below this video, I did post a blog post for this topic that I'm talking about. So if you want to see that, just a reference, if you missed some things in this video, you can certainly watch it again, or you can just go to that blog post if you'd rather just read up on all the information that I just talked about. So I will comment below, and I will put that link to the blog, my blog post, so you guys can reference it. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. I know tomorrow is my last day of work for this week, and I will be enjoying the rest of the week, which is why I decided to go on live tonight, because I'll be traveling out of town, and I'll be on a boat watching fireworks tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So I will not be able to come live. So I hope you all have a wonderful 4th of July weekend, and I will talk to you guys all soon. Bye.